Okay, so that's it for the skills part. I want to just go quickly through just a few slides regarding the forecast. So kind of jumping back up to where Chris was, talking a bit about that forecast and the alternate forecast and how you could use that in JobsEQ. And also for those, even if you don't have JobsEQ, I'm just a kind of a long-term versus short-term forecast comparison. So in JobsEQ, we have this tool, the forecast comparison. Here you can see the historical employment change, the drop due to the second quarter of this year, and then the long-term forecast. This is all 4-quarter average to smooth it out. And this is a long-term forecast. So basically, we're just showing the trend. We're expecting the trend back up over the long term over the next 10 years. Okay. Now, we can have an alternative forecast right here in black, showing that we're going to kind of rebound, not just kind of take off from where we left off, but rebound somewhat. And 10 years from now, we'll end up more closer to where we were headed rather than having a permanent shift. All right. Now, if you don't have JobsEQ, maybe you use the long-term forecast from the Bureau of Labor Statistics for your expectations as far as what occupations we're going to need in the future, right? So that occupation demand. Now, occupation demand is related to occupation openings, which is kind of similar to job openings, but a little bit different. So job openings happens anytime someone leaves a job. An occupation opening only happens when people move from one occupation to another or just leave that occupation. It's important if we're in education or workforce to know about occupation openings, because that tells us how many people we need to train in our region for certain jobs. So how many nurses do we need over the next year? 200 nurses in our county to fill in for those people who left. Well, for our long-term occupation demand, the growth piece of it is really small. The biggest pieces are exits and transfers. So people who retire, those are your exits. People who transfer are people who is a nurse one year, and then the next year they go into education, or maybe they become an administrator. And so those are by far the two biggest pieces of occupation demand rather than growth. So if you're wondering, what forecast should I use for my long-term projections of occupation demand, the answer is it probably doesn't matter too much, because those separation pieces are really going to be the bigger drivers of the demand numbers. Now, the COVID forecast, though, what is that useful for? Well, that's more useful for that short-term impact. So here in JobsEQ, we have this down for all of your industries. You can run it for every region. Here I have it quarter to quarter, so the quarterly data here. You can see our sharp decline in the second quarter, and now we see the faster than average rebound that Chris was showing us. Then we see the seasonality bopping around there as we go forward. So we could run this in this case for the USA. This is other services. We could also choose California or any other region that you want, and then you can see specifically for your region, how that rebound is going to look. Now, in this case, our rebound assumptions are that you're going to rebound in a similar manner to the US. And, regionally, you maybe didn't decline as much or maybe decline further. So there might be a little bit of variation there. But generally, it does allow you to take, okay, what happened locally? If we follow this faster than average track, how quickly are we going to rebound? So you can see here at the industry level what to expect recovery-wise for your industries. And right here, I have a 2-digit industry, but in JobsEQ, you could run that at the 4-digit level. And then you could also put together graphs like this that compare different industry growth rates, where you see some accommodation and food rebounding more slowly compared to others that maybe didn't decline at all, or others that are going to just come back a lot faster. So you could look at those variations as well.